What's up, guys? Still banned from live, so I had some time right now. Figure I'd just do a quick video, quick update for the week. So this video, we're gonna talk a little bit about Viacom, the hedge fund that was still defining. So I do not know how to say the name still. I'm gonna butcher the hell out of it. And we'll talk a little bit about the U.S. currency, inflation worries, and everything overall. So just to highlight Viacom, you guys saw me post earlier today. Nothing is fundamentally changed about the company. They just acquired a company in South America, and they used the cash that they raised. So remember, guys, like before all this news came out, another hedge fund had bought them at $85 a share, and unfortunately for them, they didn't realize it was so leveraged from another hedge fund, and everything came crashing down. But fundamentally speaking, there's nothing wrong with Viacom. Otherwise, the news would have came out. This is just on the only reason it was selling off is because it was something outside of the control of Viacom, right? Like some dude was way over leveraged, and then to bring that risk down, these banks had to just dump massive amounts of the stock. So I definitely think it's a stock to keep watching. Full disclosure, I am long on it. That doesn't mean that you should be, but I definitely would highly recommend you adding it to your watch list and just taking a look at it. And maybe after you do your own research and your own due diligence, you might find it intriguing. And then next, you guys see me post a lot, man, over the last month about Michael Burry thinking interest rates are coming and we're printing too much, and even the video I posted today about why the dollar is gonna crash because we printed so much. And it's always funny because there's two sides of the coin, right? One side will always say, well, they always say something's different when nothing is different. A crash is going to happen. The other side says, well, this time it's different. And it's very easy to look at it and say, oh yeah, we're printing so much, and our debt's out of control, and we're raising wages at the same time, coming out of a pandemic, we're screwed. But you do got to ask yourself is, why could that be wrong, right? Like, we know why that could be right. It doesn't take a genius to say like, oh, you can't just print forever. But it's like, okay, well, what do you mean by why can it be right? Like, why can the American dollar still continue on longer than the others? What's changed in this whole environment? And well, if you take a step back and you look at it, you got to ask yourself a question: is like, well, what currency is behaving correctly, right? Like the EU is printed like crazy. The yuan is printing like crazy. I guess China has not printed as crazy or as high as a level as we have. Matter of fact, they're hoping people pull their currencies out because they want to keep their currency down, because when their currency stays down, that means their labor stays cheap. That means they get to export more. So the main point being is like, okay, well, if America's going to fall, who's going to take its place? And I guess the best case would be like, this is where you'd make a case for cryptocurrencies, right? This is where you'd make a case for Bitcoin and Ethereum and what have you. But it's like, if you're talking about a real currency, because at the end of the day, you have to pay taxes. And I understand that Ohio accepts, taxes in the form of Bitcoin. It's because they're exchanged for dollars, right? So it's like, the dollar is still going to be valuable because you're going to need the most expensive thing that we pay for is taxes. And until the government says we're only accepting Bitcoin payment and taxes, that's not going to change. And you're going to need it to be able to be converted. And it's like, okay, well, China, it's like, well, do you trust China? I don't trust China. They're locking up Christians now, so it's like, it's not just do you have faith in the monetary system, but it's like, do you have faith in the overall system? And my whole stance has always been is, as long as the United States of America is willing to back private property rights, like if I go buy a duplex, or if I go create some software, right? And America says, no, this person created it. This is this person's property. We're going to protect it, and we're going to use the full force of the United States government to protect it. America's going to be fine. It's going to have huge ups and downs, but it's going to be fine. Now, the second we get away from the underpinnings of our system, the fabric, of our system, and our whole society deteriorates, well, then all bets are off. Then, yeah, I guess Bitcoin would be the number one play, because it's like, how else are you going to store the value that you created, right? Because if you've been working for the last 10 years of your life and you've been putting away, let's just say $5,000 a year, you've saved $50,000 of your hard-earned money. and America just starts to deteriorate, that $50,000 isn't going to be worth nothing. Like, you're not going to be able to trade it for, like a carton of milk. Like, it's going to turn into like the Weimar Republic kind of scenario. But if you have it in Bitcoin, at least you'll be able to preserve some of that purchasing power. That's the theory. But my theory is this would be a totally, because you got to understand, even during the Weimar Republic, even during Venezuela or Zimbabwe crisis, they were isolated and they were forced to print, because that's the only way they saw out of it, because they didn't want to, go through pain. But in this scenario, what's different? The difference in this scenario is we're all printing. So if we're all printing, it's like, well, okay, shit, where do you go as an investor? We're all going to go down the same road, same path. I guess gold, and why do I recommend silver? I mean, I don't know, just my research has concluded that silver pops when the economy pops, because you actually use silver for goods. So when the economy slows, silver is actually going to drop in the short term, and then you could pick it up when you believed after like a year and a half, 2 years that it's bottomed and the economies are actually starting to come back on. That's when you want to buy silver. And I'm not a huge gold trader, but I have gold. I will always continue to buy gold. I try to buy an ounce of gold a year every year, and I'm thinking over the long term it will even out. But we buy that 1 ounce because of my not religious, but our cultural customs. We need it. So, it's kind of smart for, Indian people to buy like an ounce of gold every year, because you're going to need it in the future, weddings and stuff. So stupid. Whole different topic. But back to the currency thing, it's like, yeah, what do you do? Where do you go? Right? Because it's not like we're saying only America's printing all these trillions and, oh, look, the European Union and, somewhere else that we trust isn't. Everybody is. And when everybody is and everyone's doing the same thing, we as investors are kind of just trapped. We're at the mercy of these governments. So then it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, this is why you'd want to buy hard assets, right? Because it doesn't matter. If you go out and buy a duplex today and the duplex is giving you $1,500 in rent, and all of a sudden everything goes to shit, but you leveraged into that duplex. Now follow me. Let's say you bought that duplex for $100,000 and it's producing you $1,000 a month in rent, and you borrowed $80,000. You put $20,000 down yourself, you owe $80,000, and all this crazy ass stuff in the world happens, and the dollar crashes and it's not worth anything. Okay, well then I'm going to go to the street and I'm going to swoop up those dollars like I would have in the Weimar Republic, taken down to the bank and been like, it's paid, I own this hard asset. And then whatever system comes next, whatever happens next, well, you already have a profit generating asset, right? And stocks and stuff wouldn't be any different for you. Think about it. If you were to buy, I'm going to use Viacom as an example, not telling you to buy Viacom, but if you buy Viacom and not with money you borrowed, this is with money you have. The real estate example was totally different, but this one is like, okay, you buy, let's say 100 shares of Viacom, $40, right? $4,000, and the world goes to crap and the dollar gets all blown up, and then Viacom's like, oh, I don't know what we're going to do. That doesn't mean they're going to go bankrupt. It's just like, the whole world is going to be in a reset mode, right? So then if Viacom is earning $3 a share right now, roughly, and all of a sudden they're going to be earning like $30 a share because prices have all gone up and money's not worth anything. Well, they collect those dollars, they pay off their debt, and now you're going to own an asset going forward that has no debt. It can't grow because every single day, like, things are getting more and more expensive, so they can never keep up with that growth. But at least, companies that are super leveraged, that are still producing money, would probably be the companies I would want to be in, hypothetically speaking, if money becomes worthless and there's barrels of $100 bills in the streets, right? Because then at that moment in time, when there's money in the streets, you're not going to be able to go buy a duplex for 100. It's going to be $1 million. You're not going to be able to go buy a Viacom for 40. It'd be like 400 a share or something, right? So that's just my guesstimate. That's my best educated guess. So, I still remain very heavy on like having a 60-40 portfolio through these times. Unless you're very, very bullish on America and you think like we're going to be just fine, then 70-30 is fine. Like, just have that cash in the short term when things go south, that you could deploy it. But in the long term, if the dollar is not going to be worth junk anyways, then the only way to beat any of that is to own some type of asset. So I don't know, guys. This is just my 2-minute thoughts, my rants. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Like, is it Bitcoin? Is it Ethereum? Is it, What's the next coin or the next crypto that could save you from if the dollar crashes? Or what's the next currency? You know, is there something I didn't mention that you guys know more? I mean, you know, you guys know more about than I will ever even know. Like, you know, is it like the Swiss franc because XYZ, or even the Canadian dollar or whatever, you know? I'm just looking at the world like this, where I'm just taking a step back and I see, you know, all these articles come out, see all these governments printing, and I'm like, okay, dude, like it'd be one thing if it was just America doing it, then I'd be like, yeah, we're kind of screwed. And then we could start allocating our money towards other currencies. But in this particular point in time, it's like everybody's, you know, the whole world's going to hell, you know, and it's just like, okay, so pick your poison. And if I had to pick one, I'm still going to ride with America, because as of right now, contrary to popular belief, we still have property rights. We still have it embedded. We still have our individual rights. For me, it's not until I see that deteriorate. And the key factor for a currency is when I see that we actually print money just to pay our interest. Now, when we start to just print money to pay just our interest, that's when I think like, holy shit, the alarm bells are going to go off. But I don't know, just my 2 thoughts, or 2 cents, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, drop some comments below. Let me know what you think. I'm interested in seeing what your guys' opinions are. And oh yeah, I'm still banned on IG, working on it as far as the live goes, you know. But if you like this video or like my content, I mean, it's really up to you guys to share it to help me grow, because I've been shadow banned. So, oh well.